First Steps in the Higher Life, Step 7, from James Allen's book, Out from the Heart. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. So, welcome to the 7th step out of 10 from James Allen's book, Out from the Heart. And today actually marks the conclusion of James Allen's second lesson. So we are doing the 5th step from this disciplines of the tongue. So the discipline of the body was 1 and 2. That was indolence and self-indulgence. Very relevant stuff for myself and for many other people. But then 3 through 7 were dedicated to discipline of the tongue. And these have been actually quite incredible to go through and just see how prevalent they are in my personal life and then society in general, right? Because these are conversations that I'm having with people that I'm taking a look at for myself when we're going through these steps, seeing how I can apply it, how I can grow from it, and what I can personally change, right? So I'm kind of going on this journey with anybody else that's following along, just taking an honest appraisal of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and what's kind of been going on. So I appreciate everybody that's been along with me for the ride. So the first one for discipline of tongue, was slander. The second was gossip. Third was abusive language. Fourth, which was last week, we did levity and irreverent speech, which I enjoyed very much. And then today's step 7, and we're going to be talking about captiousness and fault finding. Now, this, just a reminder, I guess, that these are steps to take for people to take to start actually being introduced to a spiritual way of living, right? So when the things we're talking about, they're very common in today's world, but not everyone wants to change them, right? Not everyone actually wants to walk this path. Not everybody wants to grow in spiritual understanding. Some are actively avoiding it, actually. So some of these things might not resonate with some people because they find too much pleasure from it. It serves them too well, and their own ego too well. And they really have no desire to change it. And if that's you, then I hold no judgment. I've been in a lot of places in my life, and my life has taken a lot of turns, and I've been in a lot of different ways. So if that's where you're at, then that's okay. I'm not here to judge you or condemn you for that, or say you shouldn't want to change, or convince you to pursue this way of living. But just remember, though, that these steps are for those who have that desire to change, who have that desire to grow spiritually. And these are, so far, these have been the first steps in living a different way of life. And there's a lot of freedom in these steps too. So, and this is, like I said, this is the last one of the discipline of the tongue. The next is discipline of the inclination. That'll be the final 3 steps that James Allen introduces. So steps 8, 9, and 10 will be discipline of inclination, which I am extremely excited to get to. That's going to be some really good stuff. So let's go ahead and we're going to get to it. I will be reading out of this book again. This is as close as I can get to a original copy, but you can also get like mass reproductions like this that are for the most part accurate. We found a discrepancy last week. Mirth, and in the new print they changed it to humor, which is considerably different. So let's go ahead and do the reading. So this is going to be step 7 in the chapter First Steps in the Higher Life in James Allen's book, Out from the Heart. The last step in the second lesson is the overcoming of captiousness or fault-finding speech. This vice of the tongue consists in magnifying and harping on small or apparent faults, in foolish quibbling and hair splitting, and in pursuing vain arguments based upon groundless suppositions, beliefs, and opinions. Life is short and real, and sin and sorrow and pain are not remedied by carping and contention. The man who is ever on the watch to catch at the words of others in order to contradict and controvert them has yet to reach the higher way of holiness, the truer life of self surrender. The man who is ever on the watch to check his own words in order to soften and purify them will find the higher way and the truer life. He will conserve his energies, maintain his composure of mind, and preserve within himself the spirit of truth. And that is it. And when I was going through this step, reading it to write down my notes and my thoughts and how it struck me. I read this and I loved this reading. I love the all of it, the justification, the understanding, the purpose, the way it fits into today's society, right? Like the first reason why I love it is I related to it. I was guilty of this myself. I like to argue just to argue for many reasons. We'll get into that as we go over this. And then the second reason is it reminds me of growing up. And I was like so many teenagers. I looked for loopholes. That hair splitting. I distinctly remember being told to quit splitting hairs. Right, but I'm just trying to find spaces where I can try to insert a discrepancy so I wasn't in the wrong, even though I knew what the intention was for the rule, right? So I would try to get around it with loopholes growing up, and I guess I carried that in my adult life. And then third, I really enjoy this step because I feel like it's got so much relevancy. I mean, all of these vices of the tongue were relevant for today, but this one especially in the world of all debates really that we get into in all areas of life, right? Like we've talked about just the social conduct with the gossiping and the slander and the insinuations and how we talk about people, and then the healthy non-abusive language, not vulgar language either, right? And to give proper respect to people and situations and circumstances. So it's there's a lot that's been relevant, but this one specifically, because this one comes into play for the conversations that take place about major issues, right? And how good faith disagreements to approach a common solution doesn't happen that much anymore. Actually, it doesn't really get involved so much with people's intentions for having the conversations. So it's extremely relevant to the societies today, the world today, in many, many ways, and how we actually communicate and what our intention is for these communications too. So it's extremely relevant and necessary step that we need to discuss. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first line that he opens with, the last step in the second lesson is the overcoming of captiousness or fault-finding speech. So again, I got out my 1929 Webster's Home Dictionary, college and home dictionary, actually. And I wanted to define captiousness, or it was captious. And it's ready to catch at faults or take offense, quibbling, sophistical, fitted to harass or perplex, carping. And then also I defined sophistical as specious, but fallacious. speech, right? Because we have this associated with sophisticated, so sophistical is very similar, and I wanted to make sure it doesn't mean refined. In this case, it means specious and fallacious speech, and reasoning specifically. So don't get that concerned. And I actually found out, because I did a little bit of research on it, that sophisticated actually used to mean adulterated and made worthless. And sometime in the early 1900s, it switched over to meaning refined. So it's very odd, because everything else associated, like sophistry or this sophistical or anything else, is quite a negative, or has an intentionally deceptive definition to it. But for some reason they took sophisticated and they changed it to meaning like a refined, a more upstanding palate. It was one example it used. Like it was, which is very odd. I don't understand. I'm not sure why that happened. I'm sure I could dig into it a little bit more and find out, but I wanted to make sure I just threw that in there. So captiousness is the intention, to intentionally just go after and make problems with specific verbiage, and to be contentious, to just be argumentative, for the sake of being argumentative. And so that seems relevant for today, right? Ready to catch fault or take offense was part of the definition. Take offense. Many people, I believe, fall into the description. I fell into this description for a long time, and many people still do. They're on all sides of all arguments. Let's start there, right? There are people on every side to every argument that are just waiting to be offended, that are just waiting to take something personally, and they want to actually get upset about it. And it's done and like proactively. They're intentionally just waiting for someone to say something that upsets them, that they can just take personally, and then it takes the discussion, and when they put this into it, like, I took offense to this is upsetting, suddenly the entire discussion changes, right? They have to change the discussion to be about why they took the offense, rather than proceeding to navigate the discussion of the original topic, right? So there's a lot of people that fall into this category where they're just waiting to get offended so they can change the discussion to be all about them. It's very selfish. It's very self-centered, and it takes away from the actual intention for the discussion in the first place, right? It's because it's not about trying to find offense. It's trying to find progress. It's trying to find forward motion. And this captiousness, I like the word, just waiting to find fault because someone is maybe speaking in a way that they find upsetting, instead of asking to understand, they just continue down this path of attack, right? So in general, this is a step to stop the immediate conflict in conversations, right? It's a step about stopping just this bickering, when we should be trying to make actual healthy progress through healthy discourse and conversation, and addressing each other's concerns with legitimacy and good faith, rather than thinking, oh, I just got to catch him in a gotcha moment, or whatever it is, and in today's society, I feel like this is, it seems impossible sometimes in certain topics and certain areas of life, people are so sensitive to even engage in a healthy debate or a healthy, good faith conversation. It's just immediately off the table. It's just immediately a disqualified conversation to have because people are so easily offended at even having to listen to somebody with a different opinion. And we really suffer as a society at large because we rob ourselves of the opportunity to have those conversations, So there's a lot that goes into this step. So he expands on it in the next statement, though. So this vice of tongue consists in magnifying and harping on small or apparent faults, in foolish quibbling and hair splitting, and in pursuing vain arguments based upon groundless suppositions, beliefs, and opinions. So these are the arguments that are just arguing. These are the arguments made just for the sake of arguing, right? They're not productive. They're not actually moving anybody forward. They actually are creating divisiveness, right? I love that he used the word vain in the description here because it's completely a ego-serving and egotistical mindset to come in with, right? Because you're serving yourself in this case, right? And and you'll see this happen if you watch any political debate, religious debate, social debate about anything. People will take a pointless, unproductive perspective just to try to distract from the conversation, right? And instead of focusing on the direction the conversation needs to go, they want to find these loopholes, these unique one-off arguments or situations to invalidate it as a whole. And the thing is that will always occur. That there will always be the one minor offshoot of a situation and circumstance that's 1 in 10,000 million billion, whatever you want to say. And not all of that can be accounted for, but that doesn't discard the progress or the potential idea that's being discussed, does it? Right? But people want to find loopholes. People want to find these pointless ways to invalidate arguments. There's pointless ways to just make a problem for the sake of making a problem. And it's not ever a legitimate concern. It's something brought up just to try to prove themselves correct, just to try to defend their own ego, right? This is making a counter argument just to prove a point, right? And without an actual belief in the argument they're making, right? They're just, people just grab at straws and just say, well, this might work for me right now. Let me make this argument to try to counteract what's going on so I can swing this debate back in my favor. And that's just to continue the conflict or try to win the conflict. Now, that's not why we're supposed to be engaging in this discussion. That's not why we're supposed to be having these types of conversations. It's not just to have a you versus me situation. It's not to have sides to collide and to make all this sensationalized news and media. It's to make people's lives better. It's to make a society better as a whole, to make this the race human race be able to advance and become healthier, stronger, more virtuous and moral and righteous, right? So the foundational reasonings people are getting involved in this stuff is it's losing its integrity. We've had a major loss, like I said earlier, in the good faith disagreements that we are having. The people used to get involved in these disagreements, discussions, debates to try to seek clarity or try to seek understanding and try to make progress. And now it's just to condemn many times. Now it's just to take offense. Now it's just to paint the other side in a bad light. And this happens on, like I said, on all sides of all arguments. This is just this mudslinging type of deceptive self-satisfying type of argument. And these are the type of arguments that really do no one any good. Now, I do want to point out there is the devil's advocate type of argument where someone intentionally takes the other side of an argument, right? And that's okay, because if it's done in good faith to try to see a different perspective, if it's crucial to be making progress to strengthen an argument, to test the validity of an argument, right? Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and let's talk about everything opposite to this or why this might be wrong, right? It's to try to intentionally take a different perspective to see if there's truth in what's being talked about. So that's that common phrase of playing devil's advocate and taking the opposite side of an argument usually has purpose and intention to move something forward for growth and in a pursuit of something real, not just I'm going to play devil's advocate because I enjoy getting in arguments with people, right? That's a pointless thing to do. You're wasting everybody's time when you do that. You're literally just taking up your mental strength, your clarity, your energy to make an argument for just the sake of arguing. You're not doing it to help anybody but yourself, and in a selfish, self-gratifying type of way, right? So I just wanted to point that out, that practice is really crucial because it's actually has some purpose behind it, and it's intentional to take another perspective, a conflicting perspective, to pursue truth and knowledge and growth. If it's that, any other intention behind it, it's just captiousness, arguing for the sake of arguing. And this is really detrimental to the way we live these days. I think this is actually slowed us down from making progress in so many ways because we're getting distracted with ego-serving details. Maybe is the best way to say it, right? We're taking offense and taking things personally, and we're making assumptions when we should be seeking clarity and understanding, when we should be seeking truth, when we should be seeking to find common ground to build upon rather than just faults to throw at each other instead of trying to find reasons to attack someone's reputation or attack someone's character, right? Like it's not, we've lost the art of good argument, productive arguments. And we wait for a hot button word to be used, or we wait for a hot concept to be touched on, and we take issue with it because we think we know what the other person's talking about or why they would want to do it, right? You see people do it all the time. One person says, I agree with this one thing, and then suddenly they get assigned an entire ideology to them, which is incorrect. People have become presumptuous and condemning, and they bring their own thoughts and ideas that they've come with pre-built and they've vetted and just assign it to you, then you attack you with it. And it's It's just so false. It's so unhealthy. Uh, this is such a drain on people's ability, or such a weight on people, anchor maybe is a better way to say it, on people's ability to move forward, on people's ability to grow in knowledge and understanding, to make progress. And it's just two egos just smashing up against each other, trying to just conquer the other, and let their opinion reign over the other person's, right? It's not for, there's no collaboration involved. It's me versus you. And that's so unhealthy. It's so incredibly unhealthy. And this goes into this idea that people have become defined by their ideas and their opinions, rather than be an individual that also has ideas and they're pursuing truth, right? If you if you're an individual, and I was one of these individuals, that I have a lot of ideas, I have a lot of opinions, and I become so attached to my opinions that they are my identity. That means when someone's disagreeing with me about one of my opinions, they're disagreeing with my identity and my fundamental being, right? Because my opinions are what I identify myself with. I know it might sound crazy, but it's really unhealthy to not really see yourself as an individual before you see yourself as your opinions, right? I've taken back that attachment. I have opinions, I have perspectives, I have understandings, but those can be changed. Now, those can be impacted and affected by new knowledge, by new perspective, by new understandings, right? Um, I don't get into a disagreement about something I believe and take it personally anymore, right? Because their disagreement with my opinion or my belief does not invalidate me as a human being. I am still a human being worthy of dignity and respect. I am an individual. I am a child of the God of my understanding. You can't take that away from me just because you disagree with me about something. I don't need to make all these assumptions about someone else. I don't need to take it personally. I don't need to assign them any label or condemnation. I can allow them to be exactly who they are, and I can stand in confidence with my own um, individual belief in me and what I am and who I am and how and what my intention is here. A lot of people have become far too invested and attached to their ideas. A lot of people have become far too invested and attached to their ideologies and concepts. And it provides a lot of unhealthy conflict. And it provides a lot of anger and hatred because of that. And it's a very sad thing to see, because that puts the person in this place of unable to grow. You're locked in so tightly to your opinions, and if they change, then you change, and that terrifies people, right? But when your identity resides outside of your opinions, your opinion could be wrong and you're okay with it, right? Like I'm okay with finding out new information which invalidates and makes my previous opinion wrong. I actually hope for that, because that means I have the opportunity to grow and become someone different, and to take that information and apply it to my life, and to have a more active pursuit of truth. I don't need to defend it so vehemently that because I'm thinking that my identity is completely being challenged. It's created a lot of divisiveness and this rift in a lot of ways, that type of thinking. And it doesn't really help anybody. It doesn't move anybody forward. It doesn't make progress in anybody's life when two people that think that way get in an argument. It just creates contempt. And it's kind of heartbreaking, actually. And Alan actually talks about this in that next sentence here. He says, life is short and real, and sin and sorrow and pain are not remedied by carping and contention. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? We don't have enough time to sit here and argue for the sake of arguing. We don't have enough time to sit here and take offense to everything. We don't have enough time to sit here and try to split hairs and find loopholes in everything that's being presented and try to just attack other people with words and try to just conquer another person. Life is far too short, and to make up all of these arguments that are not based in reality, not based in a true belief by anybody, that they're just being conceptualized and presented to be argued for the sake of argument, then no one's benefiting. No one's growing from it. No one's actually considering this as a reality. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it. That's pointless. The idea that life is painful, to be messing around with pointless argument based on fantastic or unrealistic ideas, to engage in arguments for anything other than for truth and progress and understanding, is just pointless. This is a waste of our time, our energies, our gifts, our brains, our bodies. Everything we have been giving, pointless argument is going against. It is invalidating. It is harming us, in all honesty. It is blocking our progress. It is blocking our ability to connect. We should be engaging in healthy discussion, disagreement, even to the point of argument, in the pursuit of something better. We should be speaking and having these with a good faith sense of pursuit of truth and right? Highlighting again that all speech should be purposeful and for a good cause, for good reason. Don't just fill the air with nonsense argument because you're bored. It's not a good reason. And then Alan goes on to say, the man who is ever on the watch to catch at words of others in order to contradict and controvert them has yet to reach the higher way of holiness, the truer life of self-surrender. I love that line. So again, if you're only listening to engage in conflict and to prove yourself right, you are not engaging in the argument for the right reasons. You're doing it for selfish and self-centered reasons. He says here, if you're doing that, you have yet to engage in the truer life of self-surrender. That seems like a big set of words there. And what we're talking about here, the truer life of self-surrender, is to surrender yourself, surrender your ego, surrender your pride, become willing to grow, become willing to be wrong, to seek to understand rather than to conquer, rather than to beat an opponent. View the people on the other side of the aisle, whatever place you stand, as a human being to collaborate with and to seek understanding with, right? There's this, if you're from a 12-step fellowship or a 12-step practice, there's something called the St. Francis prayer that talks about it is better to understand than to be understood, right? What we are doing is we're seeking to understand. We're not seeking to prove wrong. We're not seeking to change their minds because we have a stern belief that we're right. We seek to come and understand the other side. If both people come to the table to seek understanding and then to move forward, guess what? You can make all sorts of progress really quickly, right? It is not you versus me. It's us versus the problem. We get that wrong so often. We forget. We don't have to be in constant conflict with other people. We don't have to be in constant disagreement. We don't have to take this egotistical, self-centered view of everything and take it as a personal affront all the time. We can come to the table in genuine good faith with a desire to seek truth and do better. And guess what? Life can change. We can go into new territory, make new accomplishments with just a little bit of understanding and collaboration. And if you aren't doing that, if you are just going to the table to argue it, to prove your own point, to try to make your opinion be the one that's wins out on top of the pile, you're arguing for selfish, self-centered, egotistical reasons that benefits no one but you. That's why he said you have yet to enter the truer life of self-surrender and the way of holiness and righteousness, right? Of somewhat would call virtuous living, Christ-like conduct, righteous conduct. All right, this is just so pertinent to today's living. This is so relevant just because every guest that comes on to any news station, to any TV show or talk show or whatever it is, it's only to provide conflict. Or either they're co-signing each other against the other side that's not even represented, or they are going on to just create some fireworks of you versus me. And it's all pointless. It benefits literally nobody. It does not allow anyone to grow. It's just such an exhaustive waste of energy. But I love how Alan identifies all of these things that we need to change, or identifies a problem and a behavior, and he gives us this pretty short but expansive example of what it is. And then he's like, but this is how we should be conducting ourselves. So this is the replacement behavior. So for all these steps, Alan's given us, these are the problem. This is what you should switch it with. The man who is ever on the watch to check his own words in order to soften and purify them will find the higher way and the truer life. He will conserve his energies, maintain his composure of mind. Sorry, I couldn't read my writing for a second. And preserve within himself the spirit of truth, right? What a difference this is. What a incredibly different way to conduct ourselves. Did you see how we switched this? Instead of us watching their words to try to find something to grab onto and take offense to, right? And to contradict and just to argue with these individual words, we should be looking to our own words. We should be looking to how we are engaging with the world. We should be looking to what we're saying in order to soften it and to purify it, right? Not sharpen it as a weapon, right? You don't see people do this at all. It's always just, let me watch, let me nitpick, let me go through this, we're supposed to be growing ourselves. We should be just paying attention to what we're doing and what we're bringing to the world, right? Not demanding the world conform to us. What should I do to bring to the world these ideas that I believe to be true? We should soften them. We should purify them. We shouldn't be attacking others with them. We should be making them presentable and palatable and honest and presenting them with integrity. to other people, not to disagree with them, but to work collaboratively with them, to grow this idea, to expand on it, to tear it apart, to find where fault might lie in this idea, to grow in knowledge and understanding, and to become a team in the pursuit of a greater truth, rather than two people that are just in constant verbal attack towards each other. We've lost this dynamic. We've lost this ability to just be healthy partners, healthy human beings working towards a common goal of making a better life and world and for each other, and to love one another, right? We should be constantly reviewing our own words. We should be constantly reviewing our own ideas. We should be constantly incorporating new information. We should be always in a position to be willing to change and grow and adapt when we're presented with more information. We shouldn't be building walls around these ideas. We should be allowing them to grow and sharing them between each other, to seek to understand where other people are coming from, to seek to find common ground with people, to make sure what we're saying is something we actually believe. That's the integrity of our speech right there when we're coming to this step, right? Then that we're saying it with virtue, right? So we're saying it kindly, with tact, with love, with forgiveness, with compassion, with no judgment, with understanding, with love, and to be of service, right? We should be having these discussions from there. But we don't get told that. We don't get, that's not what's encouraged. We have to take it upon ourselves to live differently. We have to take it upon ourselves to present these things virtuously, to present them purely, to give people the opportunity to engage with us without fear of attack. And the last line, I keep saying it throughout this whole episode, but the last line I think is just so. This last sentence is our guide. It really is our guide. It's the standard to which we should hold everything up when it comes to this step. And it's preserve within himself the spirit of truth. So we should be constantly pursuing truth. Not my truth, not your truth, but the truth. We should be constantly be open to refining what we see and how we believe and what we think of in our perspective to be more aligned with truth. And we should hold that intention within ourselves. That's where this book is called Out from the Heart. And these steps help us change what's in our heart that we come from, right? Because what's in our heart drives our thinking. What we're thinking about and the thoughts we have drive our actions and our words. So when we stop the physical behaviors and when we stop the verbal behaviors, right, and we see what's in our minds, then we get to sit there and to say, hey, I don't want to think that way anymore. I want to hold the spirit of truth within me. I want to pursue truth, even at the expense of my own biased ideas and opinions, right? Truth will always be truth, regardless of what I think about it. Truth will always be truth, regardless of my experiences or my bias. This should be the fundamental piece and the fundamental foundation stone that every argument is built upon. Every discussion you engage in is coming from that. Every disagreement you have, the goal is to pursue truth. Not to selfishly validate your own ego and your opinion, but to pursue truth. That is where we need to come from. That is what we need to do. And that is how we move forward as people in a race and in a collaborative effort. Because who doesn't want to pursue truth? Who wants to live in delusion? Who wants to live in a false reality where things aren't even real? And when we pursue the truth, and that's the foundational piece, we won't expend nearly as much energy with all of these pointless conversations. We'll maintain our composure of mind because it's not something we take personally. We're not sitting here taking things personally and going on the defensive. We're not trying to attack other people. We're not so attached to our ideology or our opinion that we feel like we've got to get overly emotional about it. And we will hold space for truth. Because it's not about me. It's about truth. And it will always be about truth. So that brings us to the end of this step, but it also brings us to the end of the second lesson, the discipline of the tongue, right? And next, we're going to go on to, like I stated previously, the discipline of inclination, why we do the things we do. But to close this lesson, to close this step and reflect on all 5 of them just briefly, I believe in today's society, we have fostered all of these things rather than any type of healthy discourse. Over the course of the last 5 weeks of reading these steps and expanding upon them, we are hard pressed to find a table where everyone's sitting at it is there with the genuine goodness and intention to build and progress the world. There's very few places where these 5 things of slander and gossip and abusive and unkind speech and levity and irreverence, and then this of captiousness and fault-finding speech do not take place. It's because these are the things that make money. These are the things that get people emotional. These are the things that people will have a weak spot for. So those are the things that have been fostered in a very selfish and self-centered way. In a very egotistically serving way. So to go through these steps and realize that most everyone's life revolves around one of these 5, if not all of them, was and I include myself in that. I'll give myself an honest piece of credit to say I've made a lot of positive changes over the years of my spiritual journey and recovery from substances like alcohol and heroin, not cocaine, but I still fall into the trap of these things. I still struggle at times. It is difficult to hold a boundary. It is difficult to stand on virtue and stand on this growth. But I do believe that if we all can, on an individual basis, decide to change these steps and the way we talk to each other and the way we interact with each other and the way we speak about our neighbors and our friends and our enemies and those we disagree with, this whole world can change. We can make so much progress. We can stop this slow crawl that we've literally talked our way into. And this discipline of the tongue, this lesson that James Allen has given us, has really opened my eyes to that. So it's been a period of growth for me going over these 5, and even the first 2 for the physical discipline of the body was very important to me. And I'm really looking forward to the final 3 steps and the discipline of inclination and disciplines and how we should conduct ourselves in the world, in our day-to-day living. And I hope you are too. I hope you're excited to get into those. And I appreciate everyone's support, follows. We just did get 5,000 streams on Spotify. That's an awesome thing. And also, we keep on growing with the subscriptions and the follows and the likes and everything too. And we cleared 400 followers on my YouTube channel, and I think that's a really cool thing. I'm really, really grateful for it. So thank you everyone for the support and the engagement, the sharing, and the comments too. They're just, it's fantastic. So thank you all so much for everything. I look forward to getting started in the 3rd lesson next week. So until next time, thanks.